Hey, wow, welcome everybody. I couldn't get the words out. It is Thursday, and we're going to talk about personalized nutrition today. For the decades that I've been doing this, back and forth, left and right, sideways, from the professionalism of pharmacy and the work there that I did, as well as the work in clinical nutrition, as well as the work in homeopathy, as well as the work in naturopathy, all the spectrums of holistic health. One of the terms that I've used for probably the last 15 years has been personalized nutrition. It's personalized. It's making sure that not one size fits all for everybody. So I've used that term a lot. We've used it in a lot of the promotions that we've done here. And over the course of time, personalized nutrition has been warm and dear to me. So I am going to talk today about a research piece that came out of a study called the PREDICT study. There's a lot here, and I want to try to go through it quickly because the PREDICT study, which is a personalized nutrition study, wanted to look and say, is this the way we need to go moving into the 2021 year and beyond as far as health goes? Or will traditional medicine ever buy into this fact? Will this ever be something that medicine will believe in? I think the answer is no, because personalized nutrition doesn't fit the allopathic model that comes out of a book that says, if you've got this, give you this. Results from the groundbreaking PREDICT study, personalized nutrition, has been published, revealing that our microbiome, there's the other term I use all the time, our microbiome and the timing of meals could have a greater influence on some postprandial responses than our genes or even our macronutrients themselves. What's that mean? That means that with obesity leading to diabetes being the number one cause of cardiovascular problems in this country, and if we're going to fix this sometime in the future, it's going to be a long haul. Just stop here for a minute and just think back. If you're old enough like me to be in the 50s, as you're growing up, were your parents overweight? Were your parents obese? I know they drank a lot and they smoked a lot back in the 40s and 50s. And I had a grandmother that was overweight, but the rest of my relatives going back, obesity wasn't an issue. And we didn't eat right. I mean, we did eat right, I guess, for the time, but my goodness, I was raised on bologna and spam and chipped ham. But, when we look at this study that says, if we're going to fix this, we have to understand that, number one, gut health, microbiome needs to be there. No gastrointestinal problems, none. No bowel issues, none. No bloating, gas, none. And the timing of when you eat will override or trump any genetics. So if mom and dad are diabetic and obese, if you have good gut health and you're eating properly, what's that mean? The 12 to 12 rule. I don't care if it's 7 to 7, you eat at 7 a.m., you finish eating at 7 p.m., no later, and at least 12 hours of continual fasting, then you'll see a difference. And this is even overrides the quality of what we eat, the macronutrients. So we could look at all the different food choices and all the different things that we can do. But in this case, it oversees even that. The study published June 11th in the journal Nature Medicine studied postprandial, that's after eating, metabolic responses to a series of mixed nutrient dietary challenges using a sample of 1,000 individuals in the UK and 100 unrelated individuals in the United States. On studying blood triglycerides, okay, here's your parameters. And for those of you that get your blood work on a regular, the doctor checks your cholesterol, and there's that magic number triglycerides, which I guarantee you not one doctor has a clue what it is. But that's the real effect of the carbohydrates you're consuming. on studying blood triglycerides, your total blood glucose, and your insulin levels, which again, I can't even convince doctors to do. The researchers discovered that person-specific factors, such as the gut microbiome, had a greater influence than did the quality of the foods that we ate. Okay, and it goes on to say, the report says, in many cases, we observe responses that contrast with those reported in traditional clinic-based studies, thereby reshaping conclusions about the key factors influencing our response to food. The ultimate aim of this program was to develop algorithms that predict an individual's postprandial metabolic response to specific foods. So they were studying, how did the average person respond to broccoli? The team then aimed to create a home test and an app that allow anybody to understand their personal nutritional response and choose foods that optimize their metabolism. Wouldn't that be amazing? That we could plug you in just like you do your car when you take it into the shop, and it can tell us specifically, here are the foods that optimize your metabolism, which means it's going to improve your long-term health and manage your weight more easily. Hopefully for their cause, the team confirmed that although postprandial triglycerides and glucose responses were highly variable between individuals, a person's response to the same meals was often similar and thereby predictable. The researchers also pointed out that a low correlation between triglycerides and glucose suggested that prediction algorithms rely solely on glucose would be insufficient for the detection of dysregulated triglyceride responses. In other words, somebody's working on your weight, let's say, or your blood sugars. Your doctor does your glucose levels. If he's not doing your insulin levels and your triglyceride levels, you're not going to get the full picture. They also argued that the minimal influence of genetics means that even in an unrealistically optimistic scenario, in which most cases of this trace variance was explained by DNA variants. In other words, we have said forever, decades and decades, it's in your genes. This is saying it's not in your genes. Now, would you be more predisposed? Yes. The things that you've been trained to do. During the controlled clinic day, this is how they did this, the methods. The team assessed postprandial, that's after you eat, 0 to 6 hours, metabolic responses to sequential mixed nutrient dietary challenges. This was followed by a 2-week at-home phase. Glycemic and triglyceride responses to multiple duplicate isocaloric meals of different macronutrient content was selected. Dietary data was collected using an app and a dashboard combined weighed food records, photographs, barcoding, and live nutritional support. So they really used the barcodes when they were purchasing food. Sleep and activity were also monitored using wearable devices. Throughout the study, over 32,000 muffins were consumed. 28,000 tag readings were taken, 132,000 meals were logged, and over 2 million glucose readings were taken. The number one food consumed was a muffin. The heritability of postprandial responses was examined by recruiting 230 pairs of twins from the Twins UK registry. Data showed that additive genetic factors explained only 48%. So even though they were twins, there was still only less than a 50% chance that they would both have the same thing. They found several SNPs or SNPs in their DNA were significantly associated with these variables. To estimate the contribution of the gut microbiome, the team used relative bacterial taxonomic abundances. You don't need to know that. They found that without adjusting for any other individual characteristics, gut microbiome composition explained 7.5% of the postprandial triglycerides, 6.4%. You don't need to know any of that. To determine the impact of micronutrient composition of meals, they measured triglycerides and C-peptide, that's your tendency toward diabetes, for 2 standardized home phase meals of different macronutrient composition in subsets of participants. Glucose was measured for 7 standardized meals. Total 9,000 meals were checked. Results revealed that glucose readings were significantly reduced by 79, 142, and 185 for every 1 gram of fat, fiber, and protein, respectively. The team also found that meal context had a surprisingly large influence. In their preview of the results, Dr. Sarah Berry, senior lecturer at King's College London, explained, quote, "We looked at the size of this effect and the variability between individuals to find out whether some are better off eating high carb meals in the morning and the other in the evening. We found the time of day effect was particularly pronounced in young people, but for people over the age of 60, there's far less influence. It may not matter so much, the time of day for those over 60. Noting the study's strengths and weaknesses, the authors noted food frequency questionnaires have well-known limitations, and other objective approaches may be considered less biased and less error-prone. Pairing this with short-term assessments such as the weighted dietary records predicted in the Predict study app may help mitigate these errors. They said this: the authors point out that the prediction models derived in the UK cohorts performed almost as well in the independent US validation cohort. Thus, the generalization of our findings would require validation in people of non-European ancestry. Bottom line, fix your gut. Bottom line, 12-hour fast. If you're under 60, timing is important, especially for your breakfast. Quality of food fell into a third category. Get your gut fixed, use the proper digestion support, and study the microbiome. For those that are really serious about using this kind of personalized nutrition effect, give us a call at 678-228-8900. We'll probably start you out with a test called a gut zoomer. Send a stool sample out and tell us what your whole digestive system is doing. How well is it working? Just like you're taking your car into the shop. If we have that idea, we're going to have a better idea of what's going on. Our website is thenutritionshop.net. The number here directly to the office, 678-228-8900. Now, tomorrow I'm going to go into part 2 of this study, which was the microbiome and drug toxicity. You know, when we look at nearly 40% of all drugs dispensed in this country cause some sort of a bad reaction, we're going to find out that would you maximize drugs and be able to use drugs less if our gut health was better? So we'll check that out on our Friday show. Again, the number to reach us here in the office, 678-228-8900. God bless you, folks. See you back here tomorrow. Take care.